New comic book day is right around the corner, so let's take a look at the books on my pull list. Welcome back to Comics Are Dope. I'm BJ Kicks, and this is the pull list. It's my weekly video where I take a look at the books coming out this week. We'll tell you what's on the pull list, what's on the chopping block, and we'll even talk about some new number ones that are on my radar for this week's New Comic Book Day, June 26th, 2024. Yeah, somehow I almost forgot what month it is. But yeah, June 26th, last week in June. The year is flying by, and there are a lot of comics to be excited about. And so I like to start this off with the book I'm most excited about. Before I do that, real quick, the brand new FOC pre-order catalog just dropped at Organic Price Books. Some goodies in there, like Absolute Transmetropolitan Volume 3. Getting a reprint. There's an expanded edition of the Alex Ross Fantastic Four Full Circle. Like, it's so expanded that I'm mad I bought the original hardcover. So anyway, lots of stuff dropping in the catalog right now, and you get maximum savings by going to organicpricebooks.com and pre-ordering. You could buy one book or two, then you get the code BJ Kicks. You'll save $2 at checkout on that order. Maybe help with some shipping costs. If you decide to buy 4 books or more, you can use code BJ Kicks, ship it together. You'll get 5% off your whole order, and all those books will be packed in one neat package. So keep that in mind when you're seeing release dates, because all those books are going to come when the last book is released. But anyway, always a great time shopping at Organic Price Books, and thanks to them for being such a long-time supporter of the channel. Now, we talked about collected editions for all you trade waiters out there. Let's talk about this week's new comic book, starting with the book I'm most excited for this week. And this week, that is Absolute Power, Ground Zero, issue number 1. It's a one-shot sort of prelude into the Absolute Power event that gets started in July. And I said I'm most excited about this. Most intrigued is probably the right word. As much as I've been loving a bunch of things going on separately at DC Comics, loving the Green Lantern books, both of them, War Journal and The Proper Green Lantern by Jeremy Adams. I'm loving everything happening in Superman right now between Superman and Action Comics. Joshua Williamson's doing a great job with the House of Braniac. Really enjoying that. Even the Failsafe arc, I'm enjoying that, which is kind of just wrapped up from Chip Zdarsky. And maybe it's because I'm like an issue or two behind here or there, give or take, whichever respective series I'm reading. But I haven't really felt like there's a through line in the DC universe that just makes me crazy excited for Absolute Power. Maybe it's because I skipped Beast World. But the point is, as much as I'm loving DC, there's not been something that makes it feel like DC has this unified thing going on between all the titles. And if anything's going to make that happen, it's going to be an event. So Absolute Power, which is being helmed by Mark Waid. By the way, Mark Waid is writing in this book. Chip Zdarsky's writing in this book. Joshua Williamson's writing in this book. So that's like 3 out of the 4 creators I mentioned. All you would need is a Jeremy Adams to just round out all the DC I'm reading right now, with Tom Taylor kind of giving a swan song on Nightwing. But all that to say, I think this is going to be the book that makes it feel like, okay, I'm excited about DC as a whole, as opposed to individual parts. So Absolute Power, Ground Zero, number 1. It all starts here, or kind of starts here until it starts next month with Absolute Power. Prelude issue out this week. Cover price is $4.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And since we're talking about DC Comics, let's keep it going with a bunch of DC books on the pull. I'm not sure what happened with House of Braniac. We're getting 2 installments in the same week, which will wrap things up. So first up is Action Comics issue 1066, Joshua Williamson and Rafa Sandoval on Action Comics. Listen, Action Comics is amazing, and Rafa Sandoval is amazing. Like, Rafa Sandoval is worth the price of admission to this House of Braniac event. The best thing they did for this book was put Rafa Sandoval on art. And that's saying a lot, because the story is just as good as the art. It's been just as fun. We're learning a lot of things about Braniac and the Braniac Queen. There's a lot of stuff going on, but I almost don't care what's going on. I just like looking at the book, which is crazy. which is crazy. But Superman in this era with Joshua Williamson really does feel like the Superman animated series, which, by the way, was underappreciated by me. I did not appreciate how much the Superman animated series made Superman cool leading into Justice League and Unlimited and all that stuff. Rediscovering that as an adult and reading Joshua Williamson's Superman has been a treat. Action Comics 1066 is part 5 of the House of Braniac storyline. And if you're not including tie-ins, it's like the second to the last issue that you need to read. Cover price on it is $4.99. I'm grabbing cover A. Next up, Detective Comics, issue 1086. Can you believe there was a time when I was reading Action and Detective where they were on the same issue number? And it was really cool. Then Detective decided to go double ship for a little while, and here we are. Detective Comics issue 1086. This penned by Ram V. Let's see who's on art this time around, because there is kind of a rotating crew of artists on Detective Comics. This time it's Stefano Raphael with colors by Lee Lowridge. And then, looks like there might not be a backup story this time around, which is interesting enough. But anyway, point being, Detective Comics by Ram V. You've heard me say a million times, I feel like it's probably best read in trades. That's how I digest it. I'll get caught up. The last arc I got caught up on was Batman Outlaw. And then I'll kind of let it cool, let a few issues build up, and then read 4 or 5 issues at a time again. And that's what I'm doing this time around. But Detective Comics and Batman, for that matter, will never not have a spot on the pull list. I'm enjoying everything I'm reading in the Ram V run. It's just meatier and, in my opinion, best enjoyed in chunks, not just like one issue at a time. Detective Comics issue 1086. This run's ending in September. Cover price on it is $4.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And last book on the DC Comics pull list, we talked about it just a second ago, but this is Superman issue number 15, part 6 of the House of Braniac storyline. This is technically the finale, although there's a Power Girl tie-in book this week, which I don't know is going to serve as an epilogue, or you should read it before or after, because I'm not picking up the Power Girl book. But the epic conclusion to House of Brainiac is this week. What's interesting is, because Action Comics is also out this week, I can't even tell you like just how great the stakes are. Like, I'm curious to see, how it all shakes out. But Superman 15 out this week. Cover price is $4.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And that's it. Those are the DC comics on my pull list. So as long as I stick to the list, those are going to cost me $20 this week. Not a bad week for DC Comics. Now, let's move over to the House of Ideas and see what Marvel Comics has going on. Starting with Blood Hunt. Blood Hunt issue number 4 is out this week. And what's funny is there's a lot that I'm enjoying about Blood Hunt. Though, if you've been watching me for the last month, all I've been saying is, I don't care about Blood Hunt. I don't care about vampires. Maybe issue 3 turned things around for me. We know from issue 3 that Miles Morales is a vampire. We technically found that out in issue 2. Miles Morales is a vampire, but he's still fighting for good, right? We've heard from the solicits that maybe that's a change that's not going to be undone by the end of this event. And, we also find that Blade's daughter is going to be the key to stopping Blade. So amid all the gruesome and goriness and, whatever of the red band hoopla and all that, right? At the heart of this story is a heartfelt story, and suddenly I'm hooked. You just need to give me a reason to care about vampires. And hey, they've done that. So Jed McKay on Blood Hunt with art by Pepe Larraz. Really, really great art. And the story is turning on me. Cover price on issue 4 is $4.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And next book on the Marvel pull list is The Spectacular Spider-Men, issue number 4. Written by Greg Weisman, art by Humberto Ramos. And what's funny is, there was a time where this was the Spider-Man book I was most excited about. And I think it just kind of, amid the hype of the Ultimate Universe, fell off my radar a little bit. I remember reading issue 1. I remember reading issue 2. I do not remember reading issue 3, which means I likely didn't read issue 3. So still I've been enjoying the series, but So I went from having no Peter Parker that I liked to a lot of Peter Parker that I liked in a very short span of time. And suddenly, Spectacular Spider-Man kind of fell off the back burner a little bit. So we'll get caught up and see just how things are going. Cover price on this issue is $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And the last book on the Marvel pull list this week honestly could have gotten that most excited spot. This is definitely the runner-up. This is Ultimate Black Panther, issue number 5. Ultimate Black Panther has just been firing on all cylinders. I really, really love this book by Brian Edward Hill. Art is by Stefano Raphael's name is in my head. That's not who's doing this book, though. It is Stefano Caselli. There we go. I've been enjoying this book. It's taken, I don't know, people keep saying this, but it's true. If you like the T'Challa that you've seen in the MCU, you're gonna like the T'Challa you see in this book. There's a lot of like sort of political stuff going on. You're seeing the council. You're seeing the sort of decision makers in Wakanda. We also know that there's a mole in the camp. We got to figure out who this mole is. There's just been a lot going on that I really like. And that art by Caselli, chef's kiss. It's amazing. It might have leapfrogged Ultimate Spider-Man as my favorite Ultimate book. And yes, I'm biased because I'm a huge Black Panther fan, but it is what it is. Loving this book. Cover price on it is $4.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And that's it. Those 3 books are my Marvel pull list. Those are going to cost me $14 this week. Now, let's skip on over to the indies and see just what's going on. There are a lot of indie books on the pull list this week, or at least on the catalog of releases this week. And if they're not on the pull list, they are probably on my radar. But let's talk about the ones that are on the pull list first, starting with Feral, issue number 4. Feral, written by Tony Fleecs, with art by Trish Forstner and Tone Rodriguez. Feral, what's funny is like Feral is really good, but Feral and Uncanny Valley are coming out basically at the same time. And Uncanny Valley is just taking all of the hype that I had for Feral. It's not like you can't enjoy 2 Tony Fleecs books at the same time. You absolutely can. As a matter of fact, I am. But Uncanny Valley just feels like head and shoulders above, just because it's such a novel concept. And there's a bit about Feral that just kind of feels a little too familiar for me to be crazy excited, but I'm still loving it. Everything that I liked about Stray Dogs, the super cute Don Bluth animation style, mixed with like a sort of sinister plot, a horror tinged story, it works. That juxtaposition still works. But maybe because I've seen it done before with Stray Dogs, it's not giving me the oh wow, like the, I don't know, the shock factor, the intrigue, whatever we're gonna call that word, the certain je ne sais quoi that I got reading Stray Dogs. But this book has still been really good. We're following this trio of house cats, Patch, Lord, and Lady? What is the girl cat's name? I don't remember. But the point is, there's a zombie outbreak. It's really a rabies outbreak. And there are a lot of different things that we are finding that put the cats in danger. Like there's orders that the humans have to kill anything walking on 4 legs. And then you got the rabid animals, of course, that the cats are trying to stay away from. And then you've got animals that are not rabid, who may or may not be moles planted by the humans. And then on top of all that, we don't know what happened with these cats' owners. We don't know where they are. There's a lot of really cool things going on in this series that, as long as you're stopping to read it, is really good and it's going to keep you hooked. I know I certainly am. I won't spoil the last page reveal in issue 3, but let's just say I don't think they're coming home to the home that they left. And that is an interesting fact going into issue 4. Cover price on it is $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. Next up, quite honestly, this should have been a maybe list book, but I pre-ordered it for the cover. This is Gatchaman, issue number 1. Gatchaman from Mad Cave Studios. Let's see who the creative team on this book is. Gatchaman Like I said, from Mad Cave Studios, written by Cullen Bunn, art by Chris Batista, colors by Carlos Lopez. Gatchaman, this is a reboot or I guess a continuation in comics form of an old Japanese manga that I may or may not remember watching. I don't remember watching it ever. But when I look at these costume designs, I'm like, I've seen these people before. And then maybe I'm just conflating the bird helmets with something I saw on Speed Racer, or maybe I actually watched this show when I was a kid. I don't know, but it had me curious enough. When I read the free comic book day preview, I was like, okay, that's cool. But it didn't give me like big nostalgia vibes. It didn't give me something that was like, I gotta read this. Like, I just gotta. I was like, oh, this will be a cool book though. What really hooked me on what really hooked me on this series is there's a B cover by Sanford Green. And when Sanford Green draws a book and it's not a ratio variant, you can actually get it for cover price, you buy that cover, or at least I do. So Gatchaman issue number 1 is out this week for a cover price of $4.99, and I'm grabbing the cover B by Sanford Green, which apparently is a connecting variant. What does it connect to? Probably the next cover that I'm going to buy just for the cover. But hey, it is what it is. $4.99. That's the one I'm getting. Next up, Darkwing Duck, Negaduck, issue number 6. Still, I'm so far behind on Negaduck. I think I read issues 1 through 4. Haven't read 5. I guess that makes me 1 issue behind. Not bad. But Negaduck is on a quest to prove he's the greatest villain ever, much like Darkwing is always trying to prove that he's the greatest hero ever. And when he gets word of this plot that the other villains have to steal this big jewel that's going to give them all these powers, he's like, actually, I'm going to steal them first. That was a terrible Negaduck. But the point is, he's trying to prove his supremacy, and, hijinks ensue. And I've been enjoying it. I think the thing that's bothered me about, I guess, a lot of the Disney Dynamite releases is like they don't always come out every month on schedule. And it's easy for me to fall behind or forget what happened. And now I got to read double issues to keep caught up or keep the story fresh in my mind. But it's going to read really well in trade. And speaking of trades, Dynamite's got that Kickstarter going where you can get this entire Negaduck series, which I believe is going to run 9 issues, along with the Justice Duck series that I believe is going to run 7 issues, maybe 5, along with the Darkwing Duck series that ran 10 issues from last year. And apparently there's a lot more Darkwing content on the way. I'm excited about that. So you can grab all that stuff, plus some classic stuff from the 90s at that Kickstarter. I'll leave that link in the description down below as well. Shout out to Dynamite for that. Darkwing Duck Negaduck issue 6 is out this week with a cover price of $3.99. And I'm grabbing cover A. And the last book on the indie pull list this week, you guessed it, it's The Walking Dead Deluxe, issue 91. For the same reason I bought the other 90 issues. It's The Walking Dead in color. The cover is by David Finch. And yeah, it's the only way to get color Walking Dead. And so, unless they decide to drop a compendium or something, which I'd probably be really mad about. But I'm going to keep buying this book. Cover price on it is $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And that's it for the indies on the pull list. As long as I stick to the list, those will cost me $17. And I actually have a pretty good week, a pretty good total. This week, my grand total is $51, if my math is right. That's before taxes and my 10% subscriber discount, which means I'm actually going to come in under budget, which is why nothing made the chopping block this week. If I was going to make a cut, yeah, there's nothing on this list that I would really want to cut. Although the Spectacular Spider-Man is kind of close to that cut line, just because the story's not remarkable. Maybe it would be if I wasn't reading so many other Spider books right now. But let's talk about some books that are on my radar. New number 1s coming out this week. Well, with one exception. This first book I'm going to shout out is actually a number 2. This is Grommets, issue number 2. It's written by Rick Remender and Brian Posehn. But Grommets is basically a period piece. It is 80s skateboard culture in Sacramento, California, with young, wisecracking kids. This book, I just got to say, this book is everything that my man Skip and Tosh would ever want in a book. And reading stuff like this is bittersweet because it's like he's not here to enjoy it but this book just has his name written all over it. And it's crazy because, yeah, it is. But this reminds me of like Four Kids Walk Into a Bank. This reminds me of those like movies like Juno, all the things that I love about comics. One thing that I will say about the book, the language, some of the jokes, it's a little bit more mature in tone than, say, like The Sandlot, right? And for that reason, and the fact that it's just super, my pull list is just super, super stacked. I don't know if I'm going to buy this series. I'm going to continue to buy it. I bought issue 1 digitally on the Omnibus app, and I do stuff like that from time to time. Maybe I'll get a super chat or something, and I'm like, okay, cool, I'll buy a comic. So chances are I'm going to buy issue 2 digitally at some point, but I don't know if it's going to earn a spot on the pull list. I'm likely going to wait for a trade. Even more points if it's an oversized hardcover. But Grommets is a great series that I wanted you to know about, so I put issue 2 on the radar. Cover price is $3.99. Next up on the radar, new number 1, Neil Gaiman's Anansi Boys, issue number 1. This is a graphic novel adaptation of the Anansi Boys novel, prose novel that was written by Neil Gaiman. The writer on this comic, though, is Mark Bernardin, who you might know as the co-star of the Fat Man on Batman or Fat Man Beyond podcast with Kevin Smith. But he's a writer in his own right. Speaking of writers in their own right, Sean Martinborough, who you know from writing Red Hood the Hill, but he made his chops as an artist, and he's doing the art for this series. Quite honestly, I didn't know anything about Anansi Boys, but when I read the premise, I'm like, that's interesting. This, after the death of the trickster god, Anansi the Spider, his son finds out he's actually a twin. So his sons find out about each other, and they're starting to like sort of learn about each other and themselves amid this greater sort of thing about them having this Anansi spider god as their dad. I don't know, man. That sounds interesting. It sounds like a meaty, a weighty book that if I had less on the pull list, I'd probably pick up. But it's Neil Gaiman. It's going to get a hardcover at some point. So Anansi Boys number 1. $3.99 is the cover price on it. Next up, Gatchaman Ken Deathmatch, issue number 1. This is written by Tommy Lee Edwards. This is the first of a series of one-shots featuring each of the members of the Gatchaman team. So this one focuses on Ken, who I believe is the leader of the team. And the premise just sounds interesting. He's like busting up like a gambling fight club type thing. What do they call it? A wrestling ring? I don't know. It's not on my pull list, so it's going to take me forever to get to it. Okay, yeah. So anyway, point is, Gatchaman Ken. So if you decide you're going to dive into Mad Cave's world of Gatchaman, they've got a whole bunch of titles. They're doing these 5 one-shots. They're doing the main series. They're going to be reprinting some classic stuff. So get in where you fit in. If you have nostalgia for Gatchaman, it's probably going to hit harder for you. On my side, I'm like, but it is Tommy Lee Edwards. And so, you know, it is what it is. I'm excited. Well, I'm like curious about it. Not excited enough to put on the pull list, especially since the cover price is $6.99. Next up on the radar is Giant Size Little Marvels issue 1. It's a one-shot. They've been doing these giant size one-shots for like the 50th anniversary of Giant Size books or something like that. This time we got Scotty Young writing and providing the cover, but the art is actually by a guy named Dax Gordine, who I've not heard of. I have to assume it's going to be reminiscent or at least similar to the style we've come to love from Scotty Young, especially if we're going to bring back Little Marvels. But because I've not seen Dax Gordine's art, and because this one also has a $7 cover price, it's just cautiously on the radar. I'll probably just thumb through it at the shop and see if it's something I want to take home or not. And the last book on the radar this week is a new independent book from Image. It's Self-Help, issue number 1. Is it from Image? Let's look it up. Yeah, from Image Comics, Self-Help number 1 of 4, I believe, written by Jesse Kellerman and Owen King, with art by Mariana Ignazi and colors by Fabiana Miscolo. and Letters by Ian Shalgren. Might as well shout him out since it's right there. Down on his luck, rideshare drivers, Jerry Hauser's existence is a bleak one, especially since every fare he picks up tells him how he looks like a successful self-help guru Darren Hart. After a twist of fate, Jerry is given the chance of a lifetime, which, if he's not careful, may well end his lifetime. So begins this California noir, a rollicking and gleefully lurid pulp crime story for our time. So, probably that word lurid gives me pause, but interesting, a crime story, a doppelganger, this dude may be assuming another dude's life. I don't know. At least from the solicit, it sounds intriguing, but new #1 for the radar. If that's something you're interested in, cover price on that one's $3.99. That's it. That's it for all the books on the radar. That's all the stuff that I saw coming out that I'm interested in. Let me know what you're interested in, though. What books on your pull list are still really doing it for you? Are you excited about Absolute Power? Are you feeling like me and you're like, sure, I'll buy it, but I don't really feel like a big lead in pulling me or pushing me to buy this event? Let me know how you're feeling in the comments down below. I'll see you guys in another video soon. Till then, stay safe, stay awesome, and read something dope today. Peace.